we are on Earth, and the Earth is just one planet in the galaxy. You can compare that to an ant on the patio in this backyard. The ant doesn't know that there's more than the patio. He just keeps walking. He doesn't know he's just part of lots of worlds. And the human race is sort of like that. After they discovered what's up there, they know they're only a little part of this huge galaxy. I think there probably are many different kinds of cells and organisms. Some may not be visible, some may not have been discovered, and some may be on places we can't go. And they all might have the same perspective as we do on this, that there might be others.
Yeah. Gotta find yourself in this world. Do that, you'll understand yourself better, and you'll understand this world better. Every day is another journey.
Yahoo! Welcome, my beautiful brothers and sisters, to the Aquarian Adepts, my platform to become your spiritual server. And welcome to your weekly astrological forecast for today, Tuesday, May the 22nd through May the 28th of 2018. Thank you so much for joining me on this video. And I missed the weekly last week. Last week was an interesting week for me. It was certainly a challenge. It was a challenge mentally, it was a challenge emotionally, and even I would say spiritually. Not that necessarily anything super bad happened spiritually last week, but it was an interesting week nonetheless. And we are coming into this week, which is equally interesting, and I really feel like we're about to hit like this. It's another breakthrough period. This year so far has been like one breakthrough after another. It's like we're being called to transform so much this year. We're being called to transform every chance we get. And we are transforming every chance we get. But we are being called to become aware of this transformation. With every subsequent lunation period, with every new moon, full moon, we've been through eclipses. We've been through a lot of shifts as far as like planets changing signs, especially here in the past month. Like the whole of May has been really intense as far as like planets shifting and going into different zones, experiencing different energies. So once again, we kind of come to this week, which is somewhat of a lull as far as like planets shifting zones and shifting signs, but is a very powerful week nonetheless. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm actually going to kind of just intuit this first part, and then I'm going to hop into the chart and actually show you guys the transits and what's going to be happening day to day and what you can expect. But I took a lot of notes on this. You see I have all of these notes about these transits and what's happening. But after looking at all the transits for each day, I kind of wanted to come up with like a theme for each day and what the theme really means, and it kind of tells the story of this week and what's really happening. So, interesting enough, today we mainly started off with the moon shifting into Virgo. We had that first quarter square of the moon. Today, May 22nd, is a day of hyper-awareness of the details. I want you to almost think of it today as in like you're kind of a detective, and you're gathering information, you're gathering intel, and you are starting, like the details of your life are beginning to surface more. Like when the moon is in a spot, it really brings to light the air, the energy is where it's at, that part of the chart. Right now, like I said, it's in Virgo, so it's about being very meticulous and detail-oriented and really focused on the day-to-day life. So today is a day of hyper-awareness. This is a day of really, we're like fine-combing the details of our life and really starting to put this puzzle together, because Virgo is opposite Pisces, which is the last sign of the zodiac. So you have to consider that the moon is now opposing the Neptune energies and will soon oppose well, the Neptune energies, yeah, it will sit opposed Neptune. But today is really a day of this, okay, so this is here, that's there, this is here, that's there. We're really starting to figure out just what's going on here. It's hyper awareness. So today might be a day where you might be a little bit more judgmental on yourself. You might be a little more picky today. But it's also going to be a day of great insight and I believe great clearing and great healing. But today, the theme of the day that I felt was really this hyper awareness of the details. And we are beginning to resonate at the necessary frequency to receive a really important message this week. That's what today is about. Today is about gathering information, learning more about the details, and coming to the space where we can resonate at the frequency to receive this divine message that we're going to receive this week. That's what today is, though. First, we just have to resonate at the frequency so we can allow ourselves to receive. So we can allow ourselves to be that antenna, you know, so we can actually receive. Today is going to be a day of trying to actually turn this antenna on so we can actually receive this message. And we are going to receive it whether we're aware of it or not. May 23rd, what is the message of the day? What is the theme? The theme is, you got mail. Do y'all remember that? Y'all remember back in the day, the whole, you got mail. Like, that is what the message, that is the theme for tomorrow, May 23rd. Because we have, and I will show you later in the chart, we have a very rare event, which is called a mystic rectangle. And I'll show you more what that looks like, but it's essentially this alignment, this rare alignment that happens when we have sextiles and oppositions and trines. And they all create this rectangle in the zodiac wheel. It's really quite fascinating. And to me, I always look at it as like, to me, this looks like it looks like a legitimate piece of mail. Like you get mail in you know, the mailbox. And I don't know, of course, most people don't even send mail these days, but that's what it seems like to me. And when we have this mystic rectangle, we really are going to be receiving this message from the universe. We're going to be receiving this message from spirit. So today is the day of resonating at the frequency to receive the message so the universe can know where to send it, or know where to send what message to, you know. And then May 23rd is, you got mail. You're going to receive this message. May 24th, we're going to open this mail and read it. So it seems like it's kind of slow day by day. It's like first we resonate at the frequency of the mail, then we receive the mail. We don't actually open and read the mail until May 24th. And guess what the subject line of the mail is? How to achieve inner harmony. That's going to be the subject of the mail. So May 24th is going to be the day that we actually read this mail, this letter, this note that we are going to receive from the universe. And in many ways, we want to come into an epiphany of our situation, life, reality, what we think is reality, and where things are heading right now. So that's going to be the 24th. The 25th, after we read the mail, we read the message from the universe, the theme is, now what? What do I do with this information? Because I think it's like, whatever we receive, whatever intel we receive from the universe, we're going to be like, wow, this is pretty intense. This is pretty, this is kind of heavy. At the same time, it's meant to be light, though. It's actually meant to be light. It's meant to raise you up. It's meant to raise your vibration. But it does come at a cost. And that cost is really having the courage to move forward, to kind of make the hard decisions, to actually go for what we really want. So the May 25th is going to be a now what day. After we receive this message, it's really going to be a day of contemplation. It could also be a day where we might be prone to stresses, anxieties, worries, fears. Though all of these things might creep in on the 25th, because now we're starting to go over all of what we've learned, all this download that we received from the universe the day before. Now we're figuring out like, okay, now what? Now what? So that's the theme for the 25th. May 26th is decision day. That is the day where we decide on how we're going to act next. We decide on the next step to take in life. Because I think it's like We are all been put on this new level in life. Think of it like a video game, and you get to the next level. You know, like I said, there's going to be some people that want to go after the boss, go straight to the boss. Some people are going to want to talk to all the NPCs. Some people are going to just collect all the items. Some people are just going to, like, wander around the map and just kind of, like, look at all of the details and the, you know, the surroundings. Like, this way the sky looks, the way that the mountains look, the way that the flowers look. Like, every little detail. Some people are going to do that. So that day is really going to be a day, like I said, it's decision day. I'm going for it. That's May 26th. May 27th is I'm diving in. I'm all in. That's going to be the day where you just decide to dive into the decision that you have taken with no hesitations. You are diving in. Everybody will be diving in. Everyone has like their chips or playing cards, whatever, and you're pushing it forward. It's like, all right, bet. I'm all in. I'm all in. That is the 27th. And then ironically, we end the week off May 28th with, oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, that's really what the universe is going to be like. It's going to be like kind of like a little whisper, like a birdie in the ear. And the funny thing is that the universe did not forget to mention this. The universe purposefully left this out of the letter that we received earlier in the week, because if the universe had said something during that time, we might have not acted. We might have not made the decision. We might have remained in indecision. We might have not have gone all in. Because I think really the overall theme of this week is you might as well thrive. You might as well thrive. We've tried the whole not thriving game, so we might as well thrive now. So on May 28th, it's going to be like this. Oh, by the way, here's some information I didn't tell you before. Purposefully, wink, wink, like, that's what's going to be like. Oh, I left this out, by the way. And you're probably going to be like, well, shit. Like, why would you leave that out? That's, like, really important information. But I think next week, we are really going to understand why it was left out. Because this is right before this full moon that's going to happen in Sagittarius. So, you know, we can't be given all of the clues. We can't be given all of the information immediately. And I'm actually being called just quickly to draw a color card. I'm not even going to bother to shuffle. And I actually get Burgundy, Awaken Your Passion. So this is exactly it. Awaken your passion. You might as well thrive. The only way that you're going to thrive is by awakening your passion. The only way you're going to thrive is about actually trusting in your heart, trusting in your gut, and move in that direction. I think what happens is that a lot of times we like to compromise our integrity by doing what we think other people want us to do. And I think a lot of times what we'll discover is that when we ask these people, that which we projected onto them of what we thought that they want us to do, they don't always line up. Or sometimes, many times, they weren't even thinking about us. And we shouldn't take offense to that, but we should really realize that you might as well thrive. I might as well follow my heart. I might as well go for gold. Just dive in, because we are living in incredible, miraculous times where we really have, and we've always had this, but we are at a critical juncture where we really have this opportunity to manifest like never before. To manifest like never before. We have to remember Uranus is in Taurus, and now we're all starting to get used to the Uranus and Taurus energy. It's not at 1 degree yet, but we're starting to get used to Uranus being here. So on a quantum level, we really are shifting and morphing and changing as far as value and self-worth and our confidence levels, and really, you know, what we're open to receiving, what we are attractive to. So yeah, this has been a very shifting, transformative time, and I think we're all adjusting in the best way that we know how. But I would like to say that really what you want to do is, as that color card said, awaken your passion, because I think it's by awakening your passion that you're really going to start to heal. We have to remember also, where's Chiron right now? It's in Aries. The Chiron, the winter healer, is in Aries, which has to do with the ego itself. So it's like, this is meant to be somewhat of a selfish time. This is meant to be a time where really we do follow our passion. And I think it's by following our passion and really diving into it and awakening it, we actually are going to find ourselves attracting the people into our life that really resonate with our core frequency. We'll actually reunite with our soul group, and then we will really begin to move forward. And even if there are people, as far as like the color spectrum, right? Like, I want you to think about this. There are some people who are red people. There's some people who are blue people. There's some people who are green people or purple people, orange people or yellow people. Let's just say that your soul resonates at a particular color frequency. And yes, people who are yellow might hang out with people who are yellow, and people who are green might hang out with people who are green and stuff. But we're all holding hands, and we are all a part of this hue. We're all part of this one spectrum, right? But I think this is a time where really we are kind of we are shifting so we can realign with our soul group, because each and every one of us have gone through particular experiences and adventures and stories and arcs and climaxes that we have learned something. And now when we go back to our soul group, this is going to activate this ancient knowledge of really our purpose together. And once we come back into our soul groups, we'll really begin to know how to work within those soul groups, and then we'll be able to go out to the other soul groups, and we'll be able to be more in a harmonious flow. So that's why I said on May 24th, the theme, like the subject line of that mail that we are getting is how to achieve harmony. But I think we have been so focused on how to achieve harmony in the external world, and we have been neglecting the inner world. First step is by really asking your heart what it wants, right? Asking your heart what it wants. I think what happens is that when people ask their heart what it wants, they hear like 4 or 5 different answers. That's because they're trying to talk, they're speaking over the heart. They're not allowing the heart to speak. I want you to almost think of like yourself as like a congress, and you have, it's like a congress of these 12 energies from Aries to Pisces. And a lot of the voices will speak over the heart, and particularly Aries will speak over the heart, Gemini will speak over the heart, Libra actually can speak over the heart, even though Libra is supposed to, keep things kind of in order a bit, and meant to be in justice, but they can be swayed. Libra can be swayed, And sometimes even Cancer will speak over the heart, because sometimes we get wrapped up too much in our emotions, And then Pisces, of course, is usually off trying to flood the courtroom, or flood the meeting hall with water, so everyone can just be swimming around. And Aquarius is usually just like looking out a window with a telescope, being like, "Oh, look what's out there," And Scorpio is probably over here trying to devise some scheme to like take over the world or something like that. I don't know, but but this is really about achieving inner harmony, and I feel like this is going to be a week where we kind of receive this major key into how to achieve that inner harmony. So let's hop on over to the chart, and I will begin to show you kind of the transits and what's really happening day to day, and how this is a week where, like I said, the overall theme is you might as well thrive. You might as well thrive. Alright guys, so here we go. We have May 2nd, 2018. I ran this at 3:33, and that was not even intentional. It just kind of happened that way. So upon looking at this immediately, I can see that, we have this sextile between Chiron and Aries and Sun and Gemini. Well, I have to consider that earlier in the day, the moon shifted into Virgo. So this is what I'm talking about. Combing over the fine details, and really starting to figure out why everything is the way it is, and reality is kind of beginning to settle in. But Sun right here, sextiling Aries, so it's like, and Gemini, it's about communication, it's the mind. Now we're really coming into the space, especially with Mercury and Taurus, where our mind has been kind of all over the place, but now it's beginning to ground itself. So with the sextile over to Aries, we're really beginning to understand this deeper healing that needs to happen within our egos, and this can even be the beginning of fostering this better communication with our ego. So I'm turning the music down just a slight bit in the back. But this is kind of where things kick off today. Alright? And while at this current moment the moon is at 10 degrees, we have to remember that it also trined Uranus and Saturn at 0 and 8 degrees respectively, and it also sextiled Venus in Cancer at 3 degrees. So the moon is definitely making a lot of these aspects. Like I said, they are all harmonious aspects. That being said, especially with that trine to Saturn, we are really being clued in to the way that things are in the reality. As you can see, it's still kind of trining right here. It's a loose trine, but it's still kind of happening. So we're definitely being really clued in to reality and how things are. This can be a rather grounding day, and also just becoming hyper aware of reality, or what we think is reality. As you move this forward, we're going to come into this right here. We have Mercury, which is moved to the 16th degree of Taurus, sextiling Neptune at 16 degrees of Pisces. And this is huge because this is also us kind of like, while we do get this groundedness of, starting to think in a more grounded way, in a more practical way, this sextile to Neptune also reminds us of, well, remember your imagination. Remember the magic. Remember the beauty. Remember that anything is possible. Remember that anything goes. So I think this sextile, the Mercury, especially considering that it's, we have 1 + 6 energy, 1 + 6 energy, 1 + 6 energy, which is leading up to that mystic rectangle. We also have to consider, that 16 is actually a master step of, well, it's actually a step of Pisces. If you follow the Serious Steps of Serious Joy, which I highly recommend that you do that, by Christopher Witecki. But 7 is actually the step of Pisces. So this is actually going to be a very spiritual download that we receive of remembering our imagination. So at this time, this is 6:33 Eastern Standard Time. So around this time, you probably will receive some type of interesting download as it regards to your value and your self-worth, and really how to ground whatever comes up in your imagination. And you're really going to begin to know how to maybe ground this, how to kind of bring this forth, how to manifest this desire that kind of comes out of your imagination, something that really piques your interest. So as we move this forward, and we move into the next day, because 33. Now we can begin to see this. Alright, there we go. We have this mystic rectangle, and I have this at 3:33 a.m. We have this mystic rectangle between Neptune in Pisces, Jupiter in Scorpio, the Moon in Virgo, and Mercury in Taurus. Doesn't it look like an envelope? This is the You Got Mail. So really, especially considering the fact that this is happening in the night, it's kind of fitting actually that probably in your dreams, because this is 3:33 a.m. So it also depends on where you are in the world. But I know, especially if you happen to live in the USA and America, most people will be asleep around this time. We're going to be receiving some type of sacred download via sleep. I think it's actually kind of perfect that it will come during this time, because what is this thing? We have these energies trining. We have the Moon and Mercury trining. So this is our emotions making a harmonious relationship with our mind. Our emotions in mutable Earth about, mutable is changeable, but also is the facts. So how can we actually alter the facts of our life? And now it sounds kind of weird, but I guess for now, it's a fact that I am a server at a Chinese restaurant. But that's not fixed. That actually can be changed. I don't have to always be working there, but it is a fact of my reality right now. making this trine over to Mercury and Taurus, which is about communication. And now we're starting to communicate more with a deeper sense of self-worth and self-value. I have to ask myself, I'm just giving you a personal example of, based off of, how I value myself, how can I actually alter this reality that I find myself in? Does it actually resonate with how I feel about myself, my sense of worth and value? How can I change that? We also have to consider this trine right here, Neptune in Pisces, and Jupiter in Scorpio. This is talking about, and Jupiter is retrograde, so this is talking about what are our deeper desires, what really turns us on. But then it's making this trine over to Neptune. It's like, well, what about your imagination? What about the fact that reality probably isn't as stable as we like to think it is? We have the opposition between Neptune and the Moon, so it's about, yes, how can we alter the facts? How do we feel about the facts right now? But it's also making this opposition to Neptune. It's like, well, what about your imagination? Maybe the facts don't matter as much. Maybe it's our approach to the facts that matter. Maybe that's what matters. And then we have this right here. We have Jupiter retrograde in Scorpio, which is talking about deeper desires, what we really want, how to expand. And we have Mercury in Taurus. So this could be about like, well, yeah, I have these deeper desires and wants, but we have to consider that it is retrograde. But we have to consider, how are we speaking to ourselves? How are we speaking to... I like to think of Taurus as a toroidal field, like an energy field. And maybe you've seen it, the toroidal field, where... Maybe I'll just flash up on the screen real fast. That what you put out comes in. That's what I think of when I think of Taurus. So we have to remind ourselves, it's like, well, what are we communicating to ourselves? Are we communicating to ourselves that we are worthy of receiving these deeper desires, these values, to experience them, these wants? Are we worthy of them? What are we telling ourselves? And if we keep putting these things out, how is it being grounded back into our manifestations? So this is really, and it's somewhat complex, but it's very beautiful. But this is going to be the message that we overall receive on Wednesday. We also have to consider that at the same time this is happening, guys, you have the Sun in Gemini making this trine over to Mars in Aquarius. Mars, which is technically in shadow because it'll move up to about 9 degrees of Aquarius before it retrogrades back all the way to about 28 degrees of Capricorn. So Mars technically right now is in shadow, right? And like I said, the Sun is in Gemini where it wants to talk, it wants information, it's chatty, it wants information, it's Curious George. And this trine here is like, we are kind of curious about what's out there. Because Aquarius is kind of like, what's out there, And how to kind of go after it, how to sort of act, and how do we make it out there. But Mars is only going to make it so far into Aquarius. So it's like we're kind of being reminded that, there's still work to be done. And I like to think of Mars as the masculine energy, so I like to almost attribute it, especially while it's in Aquarius, as the divine masculine. And when it goes retrograde, we're really going to be honed in on how to heal the divine masculine. So the Sun in Gemini is going to be, this is really kind of almost us, like wanting to go out there, and it's like, we're going to be really curious, how to expand our world and expand our knowledge. Now my computer's doing something weird. Okay. Yeah, it's doing something weird now. It does this from time to time. Let's see if I can fix this. Let's see. Alright, that's alright. But anyways, this is almost like, I would say, even the trine between the Sun in Gemini and Mars in Aquarius is really us asking the universe for this message, and it's going to be received too. That's really what I see this as. Alright, there we go. Now we're good. Now, so I'll move this forward. The moon's going to continue to move Then we kind of actually get a bit of a, it's kind of a trine actually, almost like a grand earth trine. It's somewhat loose because Mercury is at 17 degrees, but we do get a bit of this trine here with the moon in Virgo, Pluto retrograde, and Mercury. So it's like, yeah, these are almost sort of like the details on how to, these are sort of like the details, but like I said, we don't really technically read the envelope until the next day. So this actually could be us opening the envelope. And then it's almost like when we open the envelope, I almost want to think of it as, you remember in Harry Potter when Ron Weasley received that howler and his parents were yelling at him for stealing the car? That's almost what I see this as, except I don't think the universe is going to be yelling at us. I think, well, maybe yelling at us, but probably more in a positive way. It's like, oh my gosh, really? How many times do I have to tell you that you are the magician, that you are magical, that you can manifest anything that you want? Come on. Like, I really, that's probably more or less what's going to happen. But the moon is going to make that trine over to Pluto retrograde, further asking us how can we transform our reality. And then the moon, it begins to come into that opposition with Chiron as you move it about. Until we come to May 24th, where the moon shifts into Libra. And as soon as it shifts into Libra, we have a quincunx to Uranus, and then we have the opposition to Chiron. So this is going to be us beginning to open up this letter. And if you really think about it, like the first half of the zodiac from Aries to Virgo, this is like personal transformation, and then this second half is like more of like this spiritual transformation in our connection to the universe. So when the moon shifts into Libra, it's going to be like emotionally we are definitely more connected to the upper realms, but we're going to be focused on the healing of ourself. So it's like whatever message that we receive from the universe, we are definitely going to be healing ourselves. It might not be the easiest, it might not be the most comfortable, because it's like we're going to be wanting balance, we're going to be wanting harmony, because that's what, Libra is about. It's about people too, but we got to take care of ourselves, we got to take care of our own healing. So I want you to see what happens here as I move the moon forward. Bam! We have a Grand Trine in air between the moon in Libra, Mars in Aquarius, and then Sun in Gemini. I think it's interesting how we have this Grand Trine, and they are also trining at 3 degrees. Further compounding this is essentially this is us opening the mail and us receiving this message. It's air, it's communication, it's earth. So what is it? Emotionally, we're wanting harmony, we're wanting more balance. Awareness-wise, we want more information about our reality. We are curious. We want to talk more. We want to get to know people. We want to travel a little bit too, We want to get to know more of our reflections. And then from a Mars action standpoint, we do want to expand. We do want to go out there. We do want to explore the uniqueness of who we are, innovative nature. We want to explore the cosmos, but the universe is like, well, there's some things you got to do first. You have to harmonize within. And this is why I say the subject title of the mail is How to Achieve Harmony. Really, it's how to achieve inner harmony. We also have to consider that we are still dealing with this trine, which has an apex just yet, but we still have this trine between Neptune and Jupiter. So we have this Grand Trine in air, really, which is the universe communicating to us how to achieve this inner harmony. So as the moon moves about the day, moves throughout, we have the square to Venus in Cancer, right? So that's really the first thing that happens as far as like the moon while it's in Libra. It makes the square to Cancer. And this is really about, us emotionally trying to open up to us emotionally opening up and trying to strike a balance between how we really guard our vibration, because I really feel like that's what Venus in Cancer is about right now. Venus in Cancer is really about taking care of our home front, our sense of security, and it's also about taking care of our vibration and what we're open to receiving. So this is going to be asking us, how can we harmonize, how can we strike a balance, and how can we protect our vibration, right? So as we continue to move this throughout the day, the moon is also going to make the square to Saturn, and it's also going to sextile the North Node at the same time. This right here is speaking to, well, Saturn. What is Saturn retrograde in Capricorn? This is about definitely putting in the hard work, but also it's like the universe isn't really going to be pushing us anymore. But at the same time, if we take action to actually make the tough decisions, to actually move forward, then we actually will kind of get like a double boost in a way. But the moon in Libra is a little indecisive emotionally. That's why we have this sextile to the North Node. Because it's going to be like, well, it's like, while we might feel indecisive emotionally, if we listen to our heart, then we'll actually know how to act. But we do have the quincunx also between Saturn retrograde and the North Node, which kind of further puts a little bit of stress on whatever decision that you're going to make, which is actually the next day. Because we're going to be a little worried about whether or not, going for what we want, what's in our heart, is it really going to bring us happiness? And it's kind of crazy because I really feel like this has to do with a lot of the self-limiting beliefs that we have created. Because they say it's like, I think a lot of it has to do with self-worth, value, and money. Because Uranus is here, Mercury is here, and the Sun just left here. So I really think that's what a lot of this has to deal with. Because we have to consider that Uranus is now squaring Capricorn energy, and it's also squaring Virgo energy, and the moon was there earlier in the week. So we're going to certainly want balance and harmony, and we want to seek it, but it's like we might be worried that if we act a certain way, we don't know if what our heart wants will really come to fruition. That's what we're worried about here. But this is about achieving inner harmony, and it's ultimately about trust. It's ultimately about trust. So I keep moving this throughout, and we get to May 25th, and this is Decision Day. This is actually the apex of the Jupiter and Neptune trine, which, bam, occurs, wow, look at that, 3:33 a.m. So this is kind of interesting because this is when we received the mail 2 days before, on the 23rd. And now, 3:33, we have this, the apex of this trine. So once again, it's almost like the 2 days before, we have this dream where we received the mail, and then we received the mail, it's like, okay, we're opening it. And then on this day, it's like, okay, now what? What do we do now? Because it's like and we also have to consider that the Mercury will soon trine, and I'll show you that in a bit. But we have the apex of this trine with Jupiter and Neptune, further cementing that really. And let's look. Neptune is the one that's going forward. Jupiter is the one that's going retrograde. So this is really about, we could expand upon these deeper desires, but in order to do that, you have to really believe in the power of your imagination. Do you believe in the power of imagination? Do you believe in the power of your imagination? Do you? Do you? Seriously, no, do you? Do you believe in the power of your imagination? Because that is what the 25th is about. It's like, now what? Well, now you believe in your imagination. You believe that you actually can do it, that whatever it is that your heart wants can come to fruition. It is possible. Of course it's possible. It's supported. It wouldn't be supported if you couldn't even conceive of it. This is incredible. So, I want you to actually look at that. This is when we have this apex between Mercury in Taurus and Pluto retrograde. We have this trine here. So we kind of wake up into this We kind of are being communicated back to this grounding that we really can actually move forward. And this is really about, yeah, believing in the power of our imagination. 2 + 1 is 3, which is step 3 Sagittarius energy, which is I believe consciousness. So, do you believe you can manifest? Do you believe in your power to manifest? And with Pluto retrograde, Pluto is transforming and bringing a wrecking ball to these old self-limiting beliefs as regards to traditions, society. So it's like, are you going to be really listening to what society says and the rules and regulations? Or are you going to listen to your deepening sense of self-worth? Remember, Uranus is here, and while Uranus is the sign of people, it's a little bit more selfish while it's in Taurus. Because it's like, well, in order for me to really bring my best to the people, I have to reform the way that I look at my own sense of self-worth. So, how are you communicating? Where are your self-limiting beliefs when it comes to manifestation? It's really going to be asked on this day. As you move the moon forward, the moon will also come into this square to Pluto. So once again, it's like we're being given clues on how to transform, but the moon in Libra is going to be sort of like, and the moon doesn't per se dislike Libra, but it's kind of like it's indecisive because emotionally we could be all over the place. So the moon is going to be making this square to Pluto. So Pluto's going to be like, well, this is what I'm destroying. This is what's being recreated. And we're like, okay, I guess I can deal with this. And then it's going to be making this King Kunks over to Mercury and Taurus. It's like, okay, this is how we need to really speak to ourselves. This is how we really need to trust and this deepening sense of self-worth, self-value. This is how we need to trust in our ability to manifest. And the moon in Libra is going to be like, okay, I guess. The moon's going to be a little uneasy with this energy. It's going to be a little uneasy with this energy. You have to consider the fact that it's also going to King Kunks Neptune earlier in the day. So this is really us learning to believe in our imagination, learning to believe in the power of our imagination. All right. So as we move this forward and we come into Saturday, the moon comes off the square, Mercury comes off Pluto, and now we come into Saturday, and really, so I guess you could say the first and the main thing that happens is that right in the morning, the moon's going to enter into Scorpio. And this is really major. We also have to consider the fact that we do have, we have the opposition between Venus and Cancer and Saturn, which is really huge, and I'll explain that in just a moment. And we also have this opposition between the moon and Uranus. So what is this like? I almost like to think of it, almost look at it like this almost. It's such kind of interesting. Look at it like this. We have, it almost looks like an hourglass, right? Between the 0 point and the 0 point right here, and then 8 and 8. It almost looks like an hourglass. And this is really going to be, the universe is like, okay, it's like, time is kind of of the essence. And when the moon shifts into Scorpio, while it's at the 0 point, we're really going to be starting to get clued into how to really manifest these desires more, but it has to be aligned with revolutioning our self-worth and our self-value. The moon doesn't really like to be in Scorpio because it's exalted in Taurus, right? So it's like emotionally, we're definitely going to, after coming off this Libra energy and this shifting into Scorpio, especially considering the fact that the last time that the moon was here, we were dealing with that freaking intense as fuck. Part of my language, not part of my language, but we're dealing with that intense as fuck full moon in Scorpio. So the moon is becoming more full at this point. So as it's making this opposition to Uranus, we are really coming more. This is actually going to be the first time that the moon does this, actually, while the moon is shifted into Uranus. So this is actually a really big moment for the moon, because now we're going to be really kind of being illuminated directly at where our sense of self-worth is at this current moment, because it is 0 right here. So we're still looking at it. It's like an egg almost, and it's like we're still kind of examining it. We're still observing it. Once it hits the 1 degree part, it'll be kind of like, it'll be birthed, and then that's really going to set the vibration and the tone for how you transform over the next 8 years while Uranus is in Taurus, and how your self-worth is transformed. But the moon is really going to be observing this more. We also have, Venus going to be opposing Saturn, and this is major. And the reason why this is major right here is mainly because we haven't had any energies opposing Capricorn besides the moon. We haven't had any energies really opposing the Capricorn energies. While Mars was here, now it's shifted into Aries, but it will retrograde back. Pluto is here and Saturn is here. We haven't had too many energies opposing Capricorn besides the moon. Now Venus is actually going to make this opposition to Saturn, and this is really going to be like this first check to the transformation of our society and sense of order and our legacy and career, and where we're heading and how to climb this mountain. Venus is going to be like, well, we do have to consider our emotions. We do have to protect our vibration, right? We do have to do that. That is so very important. Whereas before, when it was just the moon, it's like we can kind of feel into it, because the moon moves so fast. So it's like our emotions move fast. We can kind of feel into it. But with Venus here, it's like kind of further cementing. It's like, no, our vibration is important. Our security is important. Do you have a sacred space? Do you have a sacred space? I think having a sacred space is really important. For me, I actually have an altar that I created to my recently passed grandmother, and that's actually, I use that. And everyone has to have like a sacred space. And that's not my only sacred space. I have multiple sacred spaces, but do you have a sacred space? Do you have a space that you can go to? When you come to your home at night from work, or when you come to your home at any point, does it feel secure? Does it feel safe? Does it feel like does it feel like you can actually kind of grow there without being impeded upon by these external forces, by these external energies? That's really what this is speaking to. So this is the 26th. This is like I said, this is decision day, because as the moon moves, it makes the square to Mars, and Mars is at home in Scorpio, so this is not that bad of a aspect, but Mars is wanting to kind of go out and explore, and the moon is like, well, we do have to consider these deeper depths, and Mars doesn't really want to worry about that right now. Mars wants to kind of go out there and explore and kind of get out there, explore the cosmos, but the moon's going to be like, yeah, but these deeper desires, these deeper waters. So it's like, and the cool thing is about like the depths of the ocean is that, like, when you get really far down there, it kind of looks like space. Does it not? I think I think space is just an ocean. I think it's just an ocean, like a larger ocean of energy. And they say apparently that we know less about our oceans than we do about space. So I think that's pretty interesting. So we move this forward. The moon comes into the sextile with Saturn. And then we move into May 27th. This is the diving in day. And this starts off really, if you kind of go back, this is kind of like a mixture of the days where we have this square between the moon and the north node. So that really kind of sets it off. This is the moon coming into an aspect with north node in Leo, which is talking about our heart space and really our passions. Perhaps even awakening our passions, like I said in the beginning of the video, but this is really going to be diving in. And the way this dives in is really, this is going to be the point where really we meet the water. Bam. We have, let's move back just a little bit. Bam. We have The moon conjunct Jupiter, trine Neptune. This is us diving in. It's like, all right, I'm going for it. I'm diving in. I'm going for it. We gotta do it. It's going to be actually a very spiritual day. I would say Sunday will be a very, very spiritual day. Definitely take time to meditate today. On this day, take time for yourself and really feel into your expansion. Really feel into your imagination, right? But this is going to be a rather powerful day of intuition and really kind of, like I said, it's becoming full. You know, it's leading up to the full moon that will be in Sagittarius at, I think, about 9 degrees, right? So the moon comes off Jupiter, moving into the next day on the 28th. This is the, oh, by the way day, because a lot of interesting stuff actually happens this day. This is like, after we dive in and we made our decision and we really can't go back, we can't go back, it's like, oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, purposely by the way, we're going to have this trine between the moon and Pluto, and this is firmly, of course, still laying back to like this transformation. We have to consider that, look, Pluto's about to actually move from step 21 to step 20, from 21 degrees to 20 degrees. So I want to show you this because I think this is quite interesting what's going to happen. And that's really kind of where it starts right there. And it's slight, but I even want to just take this just a little bit further, okay? Let's see. We have Mercury opposing the moon right before it shifts into Sagittarius. So this is really about, this is actually letting us know about the action that we took and what we dove into, and how we're actually going to expand, and how this actually will help to lend to our deepening evolution. I want you also to look at a lot of the 7 energy that's happening here. 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 1 plus 6 is 7. 7 is really about spirituality. It's, in many ways, kind of like this lucky number, and it's like really us opening up to the divine. So this is really us. It's trust. It's like we have to trust that whatever decision that we took was the right decision. We have to trust in the universe that we're being guided in the right direction. So, but this is really going to be a day. It's like, oh, by the way, I didn't mention this, by the way. This is really also, like I said, us really believing in the power of our imagination. The moon will come into Sagittarius on this day, and will also, as it comes to Sagittarius, will make a quincunx over to Uranus, and at the same time trine Chiron. This right here is what I'm talking about. We actually have something called a yod, and it's slight, but we have this yod where we have the Sun in Gemini at 7 degrees, we have the North Node in Leo at 7 degrees, a slight opposition with Venus and Saturn. Saturn's at 7 degrees, and Venus is at 11. It's slight, but this is a yod. A yod is essentially like this isosceles triangle that's formed, and it's kind of like God flipping you the bird. So it's like, this is it's known as God's finger. So this is really like God's like, oh, by the way, and God flips you the bird, and you're going to be like, what the heck? Why didn't you tell me this before I dove in, before I took the action? And it's like, well, you probably wouldn't have taken the action if I told you the whole story, right? And if you're honest with yourself, you'll be like, yeah, you're probably right. I probably wouldn't have gone for gold if you told me the whole story, because I might have let my fears and my anxieties and my worries to prevent me from moving forward. This week, from the 22nd to the 28th, is us receiving this very sacred download from the universe on how to really move forward, how to transform, and how to really begin to establish more inner peace and harmony. And the decision that comes out, it might be a tough decision, and more than likely will be some type of tough decision. And you're really going to have to transform, and you're going to have to get a little bit outside your comfort zone, but at the same time, you're really going to have to be honest with yourself, and you have to ask yourself, I might as well thrive, right? I might as well go for gold, right? I think really this is the week about, like, we're kind of tired of the same old, same old. We're kind of tired of not going for gold. We're kind of tired of not thriving. We're kind of tired of not being abundant. This is a time of really stepping into the power of our infinite, inherent abundance. But it does require us to trust in the universe. It does require us to trust in the power of our imagination. And it requires us to just, have faith and keep moving forward. Stay focused and smile often. Because, things are going to happen. Perceivably negative things are going to happen that might try to knock us off our game. But really, if we just remain true to ourselves, if we just really follow our heart, if we, don't believe in a lot of the lies that we've been told, and we realize that we really are as powerful as we really at our deep core essence know, then we can do anything. We can do anything, beloved. We really can. We absolutely can. And that is really just the transits for the week. What I'm going to do is I'm going to draw cards for each of the signs real fast using my this new deck. This is Shadowscapes Tarot I just recently bought. Like I said, this is an interesting week as far as like the overall themes, and let me just go ahead and go over the themes real quickly with you all, just so you remember. So May 22nd today is the day of hyper-awareness of the details, and it's like us trying to fine-tune our antennas so we can receive this mail. May 23rd is You Got Mail. It's you got mail from the universe. May 24th is opening and reading this mail that we receive, and in the subject line, interesting. So for everybody, I actually have the Eight of Cups and the Hanged Man. So this is really definitely about us trusting and having faith, and us having to leave behind, in many ways, the material world and seek a deeper knowing, a deeper intuition, a deeper knowledge. Us diving to the depths of our being and receiving this treasure. We're going to open up the mail on 24th, and the subject line is How to Achieve Inner Harmony. On May 25th, it's Now What? It's a day of contemplation. Yeah, May 26th, which is Decision Day. I'm going for it. I'm going for it. Yeah, May 27th, which we're diving in. We're diving in. And on May 28th, it's like, the universe is like, oh, by the way, wink, wink, I forgot to tell you this important detail. The theme is you might as well thrive. So Aries, how are you going to thrive? Well, we actually have the Nine of Pentacles for you, Aries. This is really powerful. This is really about you gaining more confidence about your ability to manifest. This is about you really believing in yourself, believing in your own power, believing in your own abilities to really bring forth these manifestations in your inherent abundance, Aries. So I wanted to skip every other card actually. Taurus, we actually have the Two of Swords, which is interesting. This I see actually is indecision coming to an end this week. When I say that we do have a decision that we do have to make this week, Taurus, you have been kind of mulling over like what to do next, and now that of course we have Chiron in Aries, so that's in your 12th house, and Uranus is here too. So really, you're trying to make this decision on where to kind of take your life based off of what you're beginning to learn more with this quantum download with Uranus in your sign. But I see this as more or less that the stalemate that you were experiencing on the inside is going to come to an end, and that's going to actually lend to you making whatever decision that you need to make this week to push yourself in a more abundant future. Gemini, we actually have the Three of Swords. This is interesting because the sun is in this spot. I think this is you actually releasing old expectations on yourself, and maybe you have some type of heartbreak, and it could be with other people, but I think this is really more or less with yourself. I think when the sun is in the first 10 degrees of Gemini, we are more or less focused on our own reflection, and then when it hits the last, when it hits like the second 10 degrees and the third 10 degrees, that's when we begin to focus more on other people. But for the first 10 degrees, we're more or less focused on ourselves. That's just what I'm channeling. So you are feeling heartbroken from you know, you haven't turned out, I guess, the way that you thought you were going to turn out, or, you know, things haven't turned out the way that you thought they were going to. But you have to release this heartbreak so you can thrive. And I think focusing too much on this heartbreak and focusing too much on these expectations that have not come to fruition is actually what's holding you back, Gemini. So really, this is going to be a week about releasing that old heartbreak, releasing that old story. It doesn't serve you anymore. So you can move forward into a future where you really love yourself more. Alright, Cancer, we actually have the Death card in reverse, so this is definitely signaling to endings and a transformation. Since it is reversed, I feel like this is actually, you know, something that kind of might just blindside you, almost something that maybe you weren't necessarily expecting, but this is also for the better. And since this is kind of an interesting card, I'm going to go ahead and draw a healing card for you, just because I know this card can be seen as harsh for some people. But if something is being transformed and something is dying, that means that you also are going through great healing. And this also could be the fact that, like I said, Venus is in your sign, and it does make that opposition to Saturn. So you're definitely going to be keyed in on something as far as to guarding your vibration. And that card really wanted to come out. Alright, be spontaneous and have fun. So perhaps you have been kind of limiting yourself as far as, you know, yeah, do something for yourself. Be spontaneous, have fun, do something a little out there. You know, do something for yourself this week, Cancer. Seriously, do something for yourself this week. I think you've been so focused on trying to heal the world that you have not been focused on healing yourself. So really this week, Cancer, the best way that you're going to heal yourself and go through the transformation, because the Death card is transformation, is about do something fun for yourself. And like, make sure that you laugh a lot this week, Cancer, because that's really going to help you. Leo, we have the Devil card. This is interesting. This is, I think, this could be, yeah, you might be enticed by certain desires, vices, and wants this week, but I think considering all the things that are happening this week and all the other transits, it's like you definitely want to be consciously aware of where you're putting your energy. And the Devil card isn't necessarily a bad thing. This actually might give you a bit of insight and how to kind of be a little cunning. And cunning doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing, actually. I almost see this as like allowing yourself to kind of break out of any molds that you might feel that you are in that have been holding you back. So the Devil card actually here is going to allow you to kind of see through the veil a bit. And I'm also going to draw a color card for you as well based off of this, just because I'm being called to do so. I have Lemon, which is excess, intuitive, innovative thinking. So yes, I think the Devil's going to really be asking you to kind of think innovatively, so you can actually see your way out and feel your way out of these situations. Maybe even just kind of think about your situation right now in a different way, and it might actually help you to kind of break out of any molds or any type of restrictions that you might feel that you have right now or experiencing. Virgo, we have the Queen of Wands, so definitely a fire sign could be playing a really big part in your life this week, either an Aries, a Leo, or a Sagittarius, but this also can be you kind of stepping more into your manifestation power and stepping more into a great belief in yourself that you really can manifest, that you really can create this more abundant life, and that despite all the details that was kind of combed over while the moon is in your sign, by the end of the week you're really going to know how to move and what direction to go in. The Queen of Wands is going to give you great manifestation powers this week. Sorry, I cut out there. Libra, we have the Empress. So the moon will be transiting your sign this week, and you might be feeling a little bit indecisive on which way to go. Probably because you're probably going to be worried about everyone else's harmony but your own. This is a week where you need to get out into nature. Tap more into your own body. Tap more into your own connection to the earth. Gaia. Root yourself. Don't really be worried about so much everyone else. I think you're going to really know how to, you're going to be kind of because you're going to receive a message from the universe about kind of how harmony with other people is going to really actually come into fruition, but this does start with your own connection. So focus on your connection first to Gaia. Focus on your connection first to Source this week. That is really going to help you to establish this inner harmony, and then you're really going to be able to go out and help other people like you really want to. Scorpio. Scorpio, we have the Six of Swords. This is really about, you're ready to kind of go on an adventure. You're kind of ready to move forward, go for something new. You're kind of ready to just like leave these old worries behind, leave these old doubts behind. You're ready to dive in, Scorpio. You're ready to really manifest your abundance. You know, Jupiter's been retrograde in your sign for a while, and it's like you are really ready to expand your reality. You're ready to expand your world. So that's really what this is about, you Scorpio. This is going to be a week where you're going to be kind of giving clues on how to really expand your world, how to act, and how to really begin to go on that beautiful voyage that you really want to go on. But it really starts with the inner voyage. Sagittarius. Sagittarius, we have the Four of Pentacles here. This is great, actually. This is, you definitely might be holding on to something, but in the context of this reading, I believe what you should hold on to is hope and faith. Sagittarius, I really do believe that you represent the vibration of hope, and I believe that you represent this vibration of almost music. I think this is going to be a great week, Sagittarius, for you to listen to music. Listen to some of your favorite music. Make a playlist this week. And then really, the Four of Pentacles is also about us almost kind of being proud of what we've accumulated. And I believe that really this is going to be a week where definitely gratitude I feel for you this week. Sagittarius, is going to be great to be grateful for what you have manifested. And it's actually going to be this gratitude for what you already have manifested that's actually going to allow you to manifest more, because you're going to tap more into that hope, to your imagination, and you're going to begin to law of attract to you even more abundance. So. Capricorn. Capricorn, we have Temperance. Though this is a great card of alchemy and learning how to balance the divine feminine and masculine energies. And since we do have Venus in Cancer making an opposition to your sign now, and it's going to make the opposition to Saturn, which is in your sign, this is really you embracing your emotional side, because you might have been so focused on the progression side. But now that Venus is in your opposite sign, it's like you really do have to protect your emotions. You really do have to consider your emotions, consider what you're open to receiving, and you really do have to consider your vibration. Because I think once you learn to really consider your vibration, safeguard it, consider it sacred, you really will actually be able to climb this mountain in a more proficient way. This is going to be a week of alchemy. This is going to be a week that might test you a bit, but I think you'll come out the end of this week stronger if you really learn how to strike this balance between the divine masculine and divine feminine. But you're going to receive, like I said, that check with Venus to Saturn, but that's also going to be kind of like this wake-up call that you really need to, consider your emotions. Because sometimes you don't want to get into the emotions because it kind of can weigh you down and prevent you from climbing this mountain. But I promise you that actually if you consider your emotions this week, you actually will climb this mountain a lot faster. A lot more efficient. Aquarius. Aquarius, we actually have the Seven of Wands. So this could be you defending. This definitely could be you defending yourself. But really, Aquarius, I see this as you standing your ground. We have to consider, of course, we have the South Node in your sign. So you really do have to kind of stand your ground. And you really do have to kind of just believe in yourself. Believe in your convictions. Because I think this week people might try and convince you that what you believe in, what you stand for is wrong. And really, Aquarius, what you're going to be receiving from the universe is like, no, you have an incredible gift and awareness to bring into this world, Aquarius. That's why we're in the age of Aquarius. So, you might be feeling a bit on guard and having to defend yourself this week, Aquarius. But I believe, honestly, that if you stand your ground and you believe in yourself, people will back off, and then it's just really your power is just going to be undeniable, because really you're just going to be channeling divine information to these mortals, and they might not get it, but I promise you it is in their subconscious. So they are going to be dreaming about it, they are going to be thinking about it, it is going to come up. So just keep doing what you're doing, Aquarius. Believe in yourself. Like I said, Mars is in your sign, so you're even learning more about how to act off the information that you want to integrate into this reality about the age of Aquarius and what it truly means. But stand your ground this week, Aquarius, and keep doing what you're doing. Believe in yourself. And Pisces. Pisces, we have the Ace of Swords. This is beautiful. This is really about, speak from your imagination. Like, people might think you're a bit crazy this week, but like I said, we do have that mystic rectangle that's going to happen, and Neptune in your sign is involved. So you really are going to be like, oh my gosh, guys, this world really is magical. So much more magical than we could possibly even imagine. But it's so amazing, and you're going to want to share this. Share this information. Even if not everyone understands you this week, Pisces, even if people don't seem to get it, share your knowledge, share your wisdom, share this information that you receive via your imagination, because I promise you, even if it doesn't make a difference externally or physically immedately, it already has, which is why you channeled it, and it will follow. So, and I'm going to draw just one healing card for the collective this week on You Might As Well Thrive. So, what do we need to heal? What aspect do we need to heal so we can thrive? So we might as well thrive. We can actually move forward. Move forward this week. Thank you, 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 thank you. Red. Free yourself from pain. Emotional pain, mental pain, physical pain, spiritual pain. Release yourself from pain. You can't thrive if you're pained, because all your bodies and your cells are focused on healing you. You can't thrive if you're in pain. Yeah, there's no gain without pain, but at the same time, it's like, at the same time, can you really truly thrive if you hold on to your pain, if you become attached to your pain? This is going to be a week of letting go of the pain. Letting go of that old story, that old dogma. It doesn't work. That's not to say that you won't be hurt in the future. But this is going to be a week of, like, if you really want to thrive, you have to let go of the pain. You have to let go of the pain. You have to be compassionate with yourself. We're all transforming. We're all going through. No one is perfect. But we're all perfect together. And I think we have to realize that so long as we each do our individual part, I believe, I know, I feel that we will make it. Anyways, that is your reading this week. Your weekly astrological reading. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, subscribe. I would really appreciate it. If you'd like a personal reading with me, you can follow the link in the description below to the Aquarian Adepts. And always remember, my beautiful brothers and sisters, to keep moving forward, to stay focused, and Yahoo! Smile up.